7th century, a lone monk from China begins a pilgrimage to India. It's early in the Tang Dynasty, and he is seeking enlightenment. He will cross deserts and mountains to bring Buddhist scriptures back to China. It's a dangerous quest, but his belief will give him the strength to survive. The pilgrimage will last 19 years. In foreign lands, he will be seen as a prophet. In the birthplace of Buddhism, he will be renowned for his wisdom. His journey spreads knowledge of the Tang Empire across Asia. The hemp shoes he wears are considered to be holy articles. But he shuns fame and glory and returns to his home. He translates 47 Buddhist scriptures into 1,335 volumes of wisdom, an unprecedented achievement. Upon his death, the Tang Emperor is plunged into grief, and 1 million people join his funeral procession. Centuries later, this monk's journey to the West is more myth and legend than real fact. A monkey with divine powers, a pig, and a horse escort a gentle and sometimes cowardly master on a pilgrimage. After centuries of artistic license, the Monkey King is now the core of the story, and his master, the Tang monk, altered beyond recognition. Journey to the West is a literary classic in China, but the monk's real name, Xuanzang, is largely neglected. Reality is replaced with fanciful myth. The book, Great Tang Records of the Western Regions, was dictated by Xuanzang and recorded by his disciple, Bianji. It records in detail his 19-year pilgrimage. The book, Biography of the Tripitaka Dharma Master of the Temple of Great Compassionate Blessings, is by his disciples Wei Li and Xuanzang. It records his whole life. "1,300 years later, these two books help us to see the truth about Xuanzang. In the autumn of the year 627, heavy frost covers Changan, the capital of the Tang Empire. Crops wither, and there will be no harvest this year. The 9-year-old Tang Empire is not prepared for a famine. And as people begin to starve, the city gates are thrown open for them to escape. Among them is a 28-year-old monk called Xuanzang. But he is leaving Changan to realize a long-cherished dream. Around the year 600, the 20th year of the Sui dynasty, A baby is born in a village near Luoyang, to the east of Changan. Xuanzang comes into the world in Chenhe village, about 30 kilometers away. He belongs to a notable family. His ancestors were commanders of border provinces. His grandfather was also a senior official. Though his father, Chen Hui, is just a humble county magistrate, he has a fine grasp of the Confucian classics. Born into such an eminent family, Xuanzang receives a good Confucian education. But when he's 5, his mother passes away. When he's 10, his father dies. His family is enveloped by misfortune. Xuanzang is a precocious child. Perhaps facing misfortune in early childhood makes him aware of the impermanence of life. After his father's death, he goes with his older brother to a Buddhist temple in Luoyang. Buddhism was established in India in the 6th century BC. It's introduced to China some 600 years later. In 67 AD, 2 Indian monks on white horses reached China with Buddhist scriptures and statues. Early in the Han Dynasty, a temple is constructed for the Indian monks to translate Buddhist scriptures. It's called the White Horse Temple. Located in Luoyang, it's the first government-established temple in China. Luoyang quickly becomes an important center of Buddhism. The young Xuanzang's conversion to Buddhism is likely because of the misfortune suffered by his family. Life in the temple turns out to be very suitable for him. In the year 612, the Sui emperor plans to select monks in an effort to encourage a religious lifestyle. The examination is strict, and only those with talent are selected. Touched by 13-year-old Xuanzang's wisdom, the examiner breaks the rules to let him become a monk. At the time, Buddhism has been in China for nearly 600 years. He matures in the Buddhist atmosphere of Luoyang. The solid foundation in Confucianism that he learns in his early years quickly helps him become widely known among Buddhist circles in Luoyang. He has a good memory and also develops unique insights into Buddhist scripture. Then civil war breaks out within the Sui Empire. As the fighting reaches Luoyang, Xuanzang seeks refuge in the capital, Changan. Changan is becoming the capital of the emerging Tang dynasty. The Sui Empire is gone, and a new dynasty is rising in its place. There are still some battles taking place, and the temples in Changan are destroyed. Xuanzang goes south and begins a tour of enlightenment. For 7 years, he travels to many parts of China, seeking a thorough understanding of Buddhism. He studies classic books and visits nearly all the eminent monks of the time. His eagerness makes him well known, and he earns praise as a promising young man. But he's also confused. What is the nature of Buddha? And can ordinary people become Buddhas? He cannot find the answer in the classic books. The eminent monks provide him with no convincing explanations. His confusion extends into the depths of his soul. He will seek the answers and the meaning of life until the day he dies. In the year 625, Xuanzang returns to Changan. There is now order in the city, and under the rule of the Li family, the Tang Empire is growing stronger. Various signs indicate the coming of a great era. By chance, Xuanzang meets Prabhakaramitra, an eminent foreign monk. The monk is teaching in Changan, and Xuanzang absorbs the wisdom of Indian Buddhism from him and begins to appreciate the charm of its birthplace. Buddhist scriptures in China at this time are incomplete, and some are mistranslated. As a result, different interpretations are common. Different schools of Buddhism adhere to their own standards. Xuanzang is confused and begins to wonder about the true essence of Buddhism. Prabhakaramitra tells him Nalanda Temple in India is the highest institution of Buddhist learning. There is a monk named Shilamhadra at the temple who has a good knowledge of Buddhism and is a great scholar. The Indian monk is teaching Xuanzang about a whole new realm of Buddhist theology. The young monk is inspired to make a pilgrimage to India in search of the true essence of Buddhism. He and other monks who share this dream submit a petition to the court asking to make a journey to the West. The petition is rejected, and they're forbidden from leaving China. The Tang Empire is still young, and its security is not ensured. There are frequent cavalry attacks by Turkic rebels in the north. Changan may face an attack at any time. To prepare for war, the people of the Tang Empire are unable to leave the country. In the autumn of the following year, an opportunity presents itself. To cope with the famine caused by the frost, the authorities allow the citizens of Changan to leave the city. Xuanzang takes advantage of this, and in the year 627, the 28-year-old monk leaves Changan. Ancient China has two routes to India. One is the sea route, and the other goes overland via Central Asia. The sea route is not well developed, and most people reach the west by land. Leaving Changan, they pass through the western regions and Central Asia, and then go on to India. In the 2nd century BC, Han Dynasty diplomat Zhang Qian spent 13 years opening up this route across Asia. As silk is the most famous commodity traded along this corridor, it is known today as the Silk Road. In the ancient world, this route grows to be a significant link between East and West. Nearly 800 years after it opens, Xuanzang begins his pilgrimage. It takes him a month to get as far as Liangzhou, but the Tang Empire and Turkic people are on the verge of war, and Liangzhou is tense and heavily guarded. No one is allowed to go west without official permission. Xuanzang is uncertain how to continue his pilgrimage. Ancient Liangzhou is where today's city of Wuwei is located in Gansu province. This place has been the cultural and commercial center of the Heshi corridor since the Han Dynasty. The Buddhist atmosphere is prevalent. Xuanzang gives lectures while awaiting the opportunity to leave. His biography says he's in Liangzhou for over a month. He finds himself in a dangerous situation when someone reports that he wants to travel to the west. The local governor orders him back to Changan. It would seem to be the end of his quest. But his persistence touches the Buddhist leader in Liangzhou. With the help of two monks, he secretly slips away in a highly risky escape. He is forced to conceal his identity and travel by night. He makes his way along the Heshi corridor and finally reaches Huazhou. The border of the Tang Empire is now just to the west. Beyond that boundary are mysterious lands, but also the birthplace of Buddha. Guazhou is the last military town on the western border of the Tang Empire. Xuanzang faces a difficult situation in Guazhou. He cannot let the authorities know he's here, so he stays quietly at an inn and ponders how to continue west. A journey along the ancient Silk Road involved difficulties that are beyond our imagination. It's a dangerous route, and people can be killed at any time. Chinese monks begin making pilgrimages to India in the 4th century. History says Fa Shan was the first to reach India, but most of the pilgrims are either undocumented or die along the way. The situation Xuanzang faces is difficult. Since his plan is illegal, he must find a way to secretly pass the checkpoint of Impasse. It's a choke point on the route from the Central Plains area to the western regions. The exact location of Impasse during the Tang Dynasty is still unclear. Some believe the Pochongzi ruins are the remnants of Impasse. As dusk falls at Guazhou, Xuanzang feels alone and isolated. Then, the unexpected happens. Late in the autumn of the year 627, the monk Xuanzang is still in Guazhou on the western frontier of the Tang Empire. He continues to look for a way to escape this place. Then something unexpected happens. Li Chang, a local official, receives a warrant from Liangzhou for Xuanzang's arrest. It would seem to be the end of the journey for the young monk. Li is a pious Buddhist. He tears up the warrant, and Xuanzang will be able to leave Guazhou. His biography says that Xuanzang is forced to seek refuge in a temple. It's here that he hopes to get direction from Buddha. I am in danger. Please allow me to find someone who can help me cross the border. East of Guangzhou, there are the ruins of a large temple. A millennium ago, the Tahar Temple is a place for merchants to pray before setting out on the dangerous trek across the desert. Centuries later, the weathered remains of the giant pagoda remain. Xuanzang worships at this temple, and as he prays for guidance, he becomes aware of a man watching him. He is a merchant from Guangzhou. His name is Shi Pantou, and he hopes I will ordain him. After being ordained, ordinary Buddhists become lay Buddhists. Shi believes that becoming a lay Buddhist brings him nearer to the Buddha. In addition to wealth, the Silk Road spread belief. Those who used this road were merchants and monks. Their relationship was close. Merchants provided money for the monks, while the monks were their spiritual pillars. The dangerous Silk Road could bring great wealth, but also death. The Buddha's blessing was important. After ordination, Shi becomes Xuanzang's disciple. The monk needs a reliable guide, and Shi is familiar with the route west. In a valley near the ancient city of Guangzhou are the famous Eastern Thousand Buddha grottos. These murals were painted about 800 years ago. The grottos contain the earliest mural about Xuanzang's pilgrimage to the west. Xuanzang is shown worshipping devoutly with a disciple behind him. The image of his companion looks a bit like a monkey. 3 centuries after this mural was painted, the classic work, Journey to the West, was born. Some researchers studying this mural believe that the character of the Monkey King is based on Shi. Historic records say Shi was the first disciple of Xuanzang. He was the last hope for the monk to find his way out of Guangzhou and secretly leave the Tang Empire. On the second day, he leaves Guangzhou leading a newly purchased horse. Shi has found for him an old man with a small chestnut horse. The old man warns him that in the desert west of Guangzhou, even experienced groups of merchants often get lost and may not survive. The old man advised me not to go westward, but I've made up my mind. I won't regret it, even if I die halfway across. Xuanzang listens to the old man's advice and they exchange horses. The man says his horse will know which way to go at critical moments. In Journey to the West, Xuanzang's horse is white and handsome, but in reality, it's chestnut-colored. The gateway from the Tang Empire to the western regions is the heavily guarded Pass. After that, he will need to collect water near the beacon towers in the desert. There were 5 of these towers on the way to Yiwu, the first kingdom in the western regions. Night falls, and as Xuanzang prays, he realizes to his dismay that he's already facing danger. She's courage is wavering. The laws of the Tang Empire are strict. Anyone crossing the border illegally faces a death sentence. To survive, Xuanzang needs to get water near the beacon towers, where he may be arrested. She wanted to kill me because he was worried I would get him into trouble if I was captured. She demands a promise that Xuanzang will not betray him. Only then will he let Xuanzang go into the desert and begin his pilgrimage. Many travelers don't survive in such an unforgiving land. He sees marks left by others and worries about losing his way. He soon begins to imagine he sees soldiers and fluttering flags. Perhaps it's a mirage or an illusion caused by thirst. After 40 kilometers, he is near the first beacon tower. To avoid capture and arrest, he waits for darkness before getting water. The beacon towers are near a source of water to supply the soldiers who guard them. Baidunzi is one of 5 built by the Tang dynasty west of Guazhou. Experts speculate it's the first one Xuanzang reaches near Guazhou in his search for water. Despite his caution, he's discovered by the guards. The commander of this beacon tower was Wang Xiang. He was a Buddhist. At that time, Buddhism provided spiritual comfort for the garrison soldiers in this remote and hostile spot. The biography of Xuanzang says he was tall and handsome. Meeting such an eminent monk in this desolate place, Wang Xiang could be expected to show respect. Instead of punishment, Xuanzang receives food, water, and helpful advice. Wang advised me to go directly to the fourth beacon tower. It was commanded by one of his relatives, who was also a Buddhist. After drawing enough water at the fourth beacon tower, Xuanzang bypasses the fifth and enters the vast desert. The Moha Yanshi Gobi Desert lies between today's Guizhou in Gansu province and Hami in Xinjiang. It was a major passageway on the Silk Road and was infamous for being very dangerous. Xuanzang must cross this desert alone. The desert was boundless. There were no birds, animals, water, or grass within it. In the desert, there was only my shadow to keep me company. Xuanzang has another vision soon after entering the desert. I was delayed by monsters. They refused to leave. I prayed to Kuan Yin and chanted the Heart Sutra to myself. The Heart Sutra is an important Buddhist text. Xuanzang often chants scriptures to quell his fear. In this desert, he is thrown off his pursuers, but the desolate landscape soon becomes even more frightening. After walking for 50 kilometers, Xuanzang has no idea where he is. His biography records that he loses his goatskin bag of water. My journey to the west just started, but I had lost my life-giving water. In desperation, Xuanzang turns back. It's perhaps the most miserable time of his life. I had made an oath that I wouldn't return until I reached India, but now I was turning back. As a pious monk, he should not break his promise so easily. I'd rather die on my way to the west than return and survive. After 5 kilometers, Xuanzang stops and turns around to continue his pilgrimage. He goes on, but with no water, he'll become delirious and experience nightmarish visions. At night, monsters held swirling torches that looked like stars up in the sky. It is speculated that Xuanzang was seeing corpse candles. This phenomenon is caused by gases produced by decaying plants or animals which had died in the desert. It's likely that he hadn't consumed any water for at least 4 days. In the daytime, the wild wind was strong and was full of sand. It was like dry rain. It was suffocating. To hide from the baking sun, he meditates in the shade to conserve energy. His strong desire for survival spurs him to go on. In spite of this, I had no fear. But without even a drop of water, every step forward was extremely difficult. Though exhausted, Xuanzang summons up the willpower to continue. But with each step, he is increasingly weaker. Another night comes. Then, a cool breeze blows across the sweltering desert. Xuanzang gradually feels refreshed. Though close to death, he manages to stand up and continue. At midnight, I felt a cool breeze appear. It was like a cool shower. I could open my eyes again. The starlight illuminates the desert, and it looks as bright as day. He moves forward using his last strength. Then his exhausted horse finds its way to an oasis. The water is sweet and clear. The little chestnut horse has saved his life. Xuanzang Pass is where the narrow Heshi corridor ends. The western regions are beyond this place. 2 days later, Xuanzang enters Yiwu, a small kingdom to the west of the Tang Empire. At the first temple he encounters, he's greeted by a man of the Han ethnic group. His biography records that this monk immediately runs to welcome him. I never expected I would meet someone from my hometown here. This is said to be the first time Xuanzang allows himself to show his feelings so openly. Having survived a brush with death, he's grateful to be alive. The remnants of the Miao Argo Temple are near the modern city of Hami in Xinjiang. According to the route Xuanzang took, this may be the temple he comes to after walking out of the desert. The Silk Road divides at Yiwu. The northern route passes through grassland, while the middle and southern routes cross the desert. Having narrowly survived his trek across the desert, Xuanzang wants to take the northern route. However, a dispatch from Gaochang will upset his plan. Located to the west of Yiwu, Gaochang was the largest kingdom in the region. Its king is ordering Yiwu to send Xuanzang to him. What kind of person is the king of Gaochang, and what awaits Xuanzang?